Hey everyone, and welcome to Tactical Ink, your portal to the captivating realm of all things Lorcana. I'm Alex.
And I'm Bradley. And today we're going to go over the top 10 Amethyst cards of Into the Inklands.
Some things to note, we're recording this pretty early after the release of Into the Inklands, so our minds may change as time goes on. But for now, this is our opinion on the top 10 Amethyst cards.
Also, if you feel like there should have been another card on this list, let us know in the comments below. So starting the list off, at number 10 is the item card, the Lamp. This is an item that costs 2 and is uninkable. Its effect is called Good or Evil. It says, banish this item. If you have a character named Jafar in play, draw 2 cards. If you have a character named Genie in play, return chosen character with costs 4 or less to their player's hand. So most of the time, I don't like cards that can only activate conditionally while you control another card. However, between Jafar and Genie, there are over 10 different characters you can play, meaning that depending on how you build your deck, this card can go off a lot of the times. And one important thing to note here is if you control both Jafar and Genie, you gain both effects of the Lamp. The new Jafar Strike and Illusionist decks can really pop off with the Lamp to draw cards. And if you run Genie Supportive Friend, that can be even more card draw with returning a character to its owner's hand. And it doesn't just have to be your opponent's character, it can be your own as well. You can bounce your Maleficent Sorcerer to draw an additional card, or bounce your Arthur's Wizard Apprentice to help protect it, or even Merlin Goat to gain even more lore.
Yeah, one of the main things that I have trouble with the Lamp is it being uninkable, but other than that, I like it a lot. The one problem with it being uninkable is that a lot of your Genies are uninkable as well. Basically all of them are. So that is a downside, but it could definitely find some use, especially along with the new Jafar. So coming in at number 9 is Chernobog's Followers, Creatures of Evil. Chernobog Followers is an Amethyst character that costs 1 and is inkable. It has 2 strength and 1 willpower with 1 lore. It's a Storyborn and ally with the effect Restless Souls, which says whenever this character quests, you may banish it to draw a card. So this is the only 1 ink character in the whole game that gives you a draw option. Of course, that's going to be good and make it into many deck lists. It's simple but effective. It also pairs nicely with Chernobog if you want to go that route, to make its cost cheaper when the Chernobog Followers are banished.
Yeah, and right now, it's not seeing a lot of play just because a lot of Amethyst decks are still running Bounce, and you really don't want to be banishing your turn 1 and then not having anything to bounce with Snake or your Madam M Fox. But if you're not running Bounce, it can be a really great 1-cost character and possibly even draw you some cards. Moving on to number 8, we have Jafar, Lamp Thief. Jafar is an Amethyst character that costs 3 and is inkable. He has 2 strength and 2 willpower with 2 lore. He is a Storyborn, Villain, and Sorcerer, with the effect, I am your master now. It says, when you play this character, look at the top 2 cards of your deck. Put one on top of your deck and the other on bottom. So Jafar can just help you dig into your deck and get what you need. And I really like him having 2 lore as well, whereas Maleficent Sorceress only has 1 lore. He just helps push your goal to the 20 lore, and it matches up better with those 2/2 stats.
And of course, something that we have to mention is that he is a shift option for your Jafar Strike and Illusionist, which is obviously a reason that he's going to be even better.
Next up at number 7 is The Boss is on a Roll. This is an action card that costs 3 and is inkable. It is a song, so that means a character with a cost of 3 or more can exert to sing the song for free. Its effect says, look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Put any number of cards on the top or bottom of your deck in any order. Gain 1 lore. So this card is great just for how much it can set up your future turns. It can even tie together with cards like Mufasa, Betrayed Leader, and the Sorcerer's Hat to manipulate the top cards of your deck. And the gain 1 lore at the end, it may not seem like a lot, but it can be a sneaky way to win a game, especially since this is a song and it can be sang for free.
Yeah, when you think about how much you have to do to gain some lore with some of the setups in the game, for example, using bodyguards to keep your other characters alive, playing that amount of ink just to keep some lore going, or something like the Sorcerer's Spellbook that you have to pay 1 ink every time you want to gain lore. This can be free, and that's a pretty cool way to gain that extra momentum throughout the game. At number 6, we have Magic Carpet Flying Rug. The Magic Carpet is an Amethyst character that costs 2 and is inkable. It has 2 strength and 1 willpower and 1 lore. It is a Storyborn and ally with Evasive. And it has the effect Find the Way, which says, exert this character to move a character of your choice to a location for free. This card has a lot of potential, because moving characters to a good location can be expensive and slow down your tempo way too much. The carpet saves you all that extra ink, though, to use on your regular game plan. And being evasive helps to keep the carpet alive. I can see it working really well with characters that reward you for them moving to a location, such as Peter Pan Lost Boy Leader and Hey Hey Accidental Explorer.
Yeah, and it works really great with RLS Legacy as well, because RLS Legacy move cost is lowered if you have another character there. So the Magic Carpet, moving something there and then automatically getting cheaper is great.
And at number 5 is Rafiki Mystical Fighter. Rafiki is an Amethyst character that costs 1 ink and is inkable. He has 0 strength and 2 willpower with 1 lore. He's a Dreamborn, Mentor, and Sorcerer. He has Challenger +3 and the effect Ancient Skills, which says whenever he challenges a Hyena character, this character takes no damage from the challenge. Now, I'm not so sure about that second ability. It's not going to have any use right now, but I guess he could get even better if we get some good Hyenas. But Rafiki is basically Captain Hook Forceful Duelist for Amethyst. 3 strength is critically important to take out characters like Ursula Deceiver of All, the various Merlin and Madame Mim transformations, and several of the different bodyguards. High strength is more important as well to deal with locations, and little characters having good strength are just always going to be useful.
Coming in at number 4 is Maleficent, Mistress of All Evil. Maleficent is an Amethyst character that costs 5 and is inkable. She has 2 strength and 3 willpower with 2 lore. She is a Storyborn, Villain, and Sorcerer. She has 2 effects. The first is called Dark Knowledge. It says, whenever this character quests, you may draw a card. Her second effect is called Divination. It says, during your turn, whenever you draw a card, you may move 1 damage counter from chosen character to chosen opposing character. So, Maleficent is one of those cards that we've talked about, and we both believe is underrated. Yeah, her stats are definitely something that are pretty much dog water, but her effect, if played right, can really go off. Moving around damage counters can get around opponents' pesky bodyguards, their resist, and even your opponent's key to Protector of Atlantis. And I'm excited to see if we get more cards that move around damage like this.
This can be pretty neat as well with those self-infliction cards that are popular like Teeth and Ambitions, to take that damage off of yourself that you just dealt and put it right back onto your opponent. I do feel like this is underrated and can be used in ways that your opponent's not expecting. Coming in at number 3 for Amethyst is the card It Calls Me. This is an Amethyst action that costs 1 ink and is inkable. It's a song, so a character with cost 1 or more can exert to sing the song for free. Its effect says, draw a card, then choose up to 3 cards from chosen opponent's discard and shuffle them into their deck. So this is a pretty basic card, but its usefulness is solid. I would compare it to Develop Your Brain from the first chapter, and that's still a useful card today. It Calls Me can be sung by any character in the game, making it a great value for card cycling. Being able to remove cards from your opponent's discard can also be decent when you're playing against Amber, which uses things like Hades, Lord of the Underworld, and Perdita to pull things from their discard, as well as Chernobog, whose cost gets cheaper.
Yeah, and I think it's a card to keep an eye on in the future, especially with recursion things like Perdita and Hades. If there's more stuff that comes out like that. Also, I've noticed when people have played it against me and they have chosen my weak stuff and it's like turn 8 and they've shuffled it back in my deck, that gives me more chances to get 1 ink drops instead of getting my good cards that help me finish a game. So it can be really useful in many different ways.
Yeah, for that matter, if this whole top deck manipulation becomes a big deal, the fact that you're shuffling their deck now, that's all screwed up on your opponent. This could be useful at a lot of different times. Not to mention, if you're running this with Ursula Deceiver of all, this is now basically just friends on the other side for 1 ink, which is also pretty awesome. Okay, so our number 2 card for Amethyst and Into the Inklands is the location, the Queen's Castle Mirror Chamber. The Queen's Castle is a location that costs 4 ink and is inkable. It has a move cost of 1, a willpower of 7, and 2 lore. Its effect is called Using the Mirror. It says at the start of your turn, for each character that you have here, you may draw a card. So most people will agree this is the best location in the game so far. It basically turns every character at that location into Tragic Beast. 2 lore is a big threat, and 7 willpower is tough to deal with. It doesn't die to Maui Hero of all, or and then along came Zeus. In fact, this is a major reason that I expect we'll see Rise of the Titans being played a lot. On top of all this, the cost to move a character here for 1 ink is extremely cheap. You'll often see people putting something like Merlin Goat or Merlin Rabbit in here to force you to have a hard choice between letting them keep their character there and getting that card draw, or you'll reward them whenever you banish their Merlin.
Yeah, and this card by itself is the main reason I added Rise of the Titans in my Amethyst Steel deck. Just because I didn't have enough options to remove the Queen's Castle, because it's got a really high willpower, and I was able to remove 1, but my opponent had 2 on the battlefield and I couldn't handle it. So it made me even change my deck. Just that's how good this card is. And coming in at number 1 is Jafar, Striking Illusionist. Jafar is an Amethyst character that costs 7 and is inkable. He has 4 strength, 5 willpower, and 1 lore. He is a Floodborn, Villain, and Sorcerer with Shift 5 and Evasive. His effect is called Power Beyond Measure. It says, during your next turn, while this character is exerted, whenever you draw a card, gain 1 lore. This ability to gain lore for each card you draw can get crazy and just end games in 1 turn. A Whole New World is the obvious card everyone looks at in its ability to draw 7 cards, meaning 7 lore to be added by Jafar. But that's not the only cards. Friends on the Other Side and the Lamp both can draw you 2 cards. You can use other things like Rapunzel Gifted Artist or Queen of Hearts Sense and Weakness to draw cards in different ways. But the reason he is number 1 on our list isn't just that ability. But the reason he is number 1 on our list is just his ability to flat out end games in a turn or 2. And him being evasive with 5 willpower makes him even more difficult to remove. If you see someone running a Jafar deck, remove the weaker Jafars as soon as possible so they can't shift into this beast of a card.
And I hope people aren't thinking, oh, well, you can just take your Maui Hero of all to remove him, or just use and then along came Zeus to take him out, because these are some expensive options that if you're basing your deck around getting rid of Jafar, that just speaks to how good of a character he is. And overall, he's just one of the biggest threats in the game.
Well, that's all for today. What cards do you think we missed? Tell us in the comments below.
Be sure to follow us on social media to keep up to date on the latest Tactical Ink news. And also be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you can tune in every Friday for a new episode of Tactical Ink.
See you next week.